We're live.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's February 26th, and welcome to our regular council meeting. Our Mayor, Wade Mills, sends his regrets as he will be unable to attend this evening. So with that, at 6:31, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we'll begin with the playing of the national anthem. So for those that can stand, please do. So again, I'd like to begin with our land acknowledgement. So we would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people of the Three Fires Confederacy. And these traditional territories upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions. It is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the land, or the past and present connections of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways and resources. Again, if anyone has any disclosure of pecuniary interest now or throughout the meeting, again, you are required to state that in accordance with our Municipal Conflict of Interest Act and provide that in writing to the clerk. That then brings us on to the adoption of the minutes. So can I have a seconder or a mover and a seconder for the minutes from February 12th, 2024? So moved by Dan, seconded by Kyle. Any discussion? All in favor? That passes. I'll now ask the clerk as we move into our public question period. Do we have any questions from the public?
Not this evening. No questions.
Okay, thank you very much. And that takes us then into our proclamation. We do have one, and that is for the International Women's Day, which is March 8th, 2024. So whereas International Women's Day is celebrated globally on March 8th with the aim of taking the time to reflect on the contributions women have made and continue to make to their communities and countries better places in which to live, work, and grow. And whereas International Women's Day is a time to uphold women's achievements, recognize challenges, focus greater attention on women's rights and gender equality, encourage and mobilize all people to do their part to bring about positive change. And whereas International Women's Day is a time to envision a world where each woman and girl can exercise her choice, such as participating in politics, getting an education, having an income, and living in societies free from violence and discrimination. Therefore, I, Shane Hall, Deputy Mayor, on behalf of the town of Shelburne, do hereby proclaim March 8th, 2024 to be International Women's Day in the town of Shelburne. That now takes us to council inquiries. Do we have any inquiries for council this evening? I have C1, so let's begin with Len.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Hall. Just two shout outs, really. First of all, a heads up that the BIA will be running their Best Burger contest again for the March and months of March and April. And we'll be gearing up to start that on Friday. Second one is shout outs to staff and members that of the DCCBA and the DEI committee and congratulations for a very successful Black History Month event on Saturday. It was well attended and informative, and yeah, it was a great time. So those are the only two things I have.
I also seen Dan. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's just about the property on 2nd Ave again. I brought it up a few months ago about the ground deteriorating around the hydro pole and stuff that's supposed to be removed. It was requested that we get pylons put in that area. I was down that street the other day again, and it's actually worse than what it was before. That is on a walkway from the road. So I'm just wondering, Jim, or we got plans to move forward with this. I don't know if Jim was online or not, but I'm just trying to figure out what we're happening with this now, because it's been a while and it's still no pylons and nothing's been done about the holes, and it's probably about a foot deep now.
Through your worship, we did put that last week back over to the engineers again for the development, because they should be responsible to go over and straighten that out. With the weather this week, it's supposed to be fairly favorable outside of some rain coming, so they should be over this week to do it. And we've asked in the meantime that they do put a pylon out. I don't know that they've made it there yet today. When we were talking to our engineers at SBA this afternoon, who were communicating this with the engineers last week, but that hopefully is planned for this week.
Okay, because if something happens, it's not good, especially because there's not a lot of light down that street yet. So I'm just afraid someone's going to get hurt in that area. So if it was on a sidewalk or something, we sure have it fixed right away, wouldn't we? Okay, thank you.
So seeing no others, we'll then move on to our motions for tonight. So first is our report, DO 2024-02, and it's from the Director of Development Operations regarding the Ontario Clean Water Agency, the 2023 schedule, the 22 summary report, which is the Shelburne drinking water system.
Through your worship, the Schedule 22 reports by provincial regulation must be prepared and submitted to the town before March 31st of each year, and they must be received by council resolution. These are different than the annual reports or Schedule 11 reports. They're due by February 28th of each year. The Ontario Clean Water Agency is our operating authority for the town of Shelburne, with town staff performing maintenance and repairs to the distribution system, as well as council or customer inquiries or after-hour calls. Appendix 1 is your summary reports. They cover a span from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. And with this council receiving this does fulfill our requirements under Regulation 170.03 for the 2023 reporting year. Summary reports must include quantities, flows of water supplied during the year, including monthly averages and maximum daily flows. Comparisons with the above noted information are made with our environmental compliance approvals for our system, our permits to take water, as well as our drinking water works permit. Copies of these reports will be available tomorrow morning on our website, as well as at Town Hall at the front counter, free of charge to any resident who'd like to see them, as well as any of our past reports, both annual and the Schedule 22 reports. The summary reports attached were submitted by Aqua, as well as the annual reports on February 16th, 2024. On another note there, the town's current certificate of accreditation was renewed after being reviewed in 2022. That was issued April 26, 2022, with our next review coming up next year in 2025. Our annual inspection for the water system by the Ministry of Environment, Conservation Parks was conducted April 20th, 2023, with a final inspection rating given to the town and Aqua on June 15th of 99.29%. With our policy implications, this does cover us under Reg 170.03, as well as our permit to take water, again, our ECAs and the permit to take water. Our consultations were with Aqua. Don Irvine, who's here from Aqua to answer any questions if there's anything further. Under council priorities, it does cover target SP2, invest in critical infrastructure and services for the future, and target SP4 for support environmental sustainability. So Don is available if you have any further questions on the production end of it.
So thank you very much, Jim. So we do have a recommendation. So for us to get this on the floor, can I get a mover and seconder, and then we can discuss? Okay, moved by Dan, seconded by Walter. So any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, then the recommendation is to be resolved that council, the town of Shelburne, receives the report, DO 2024-02, 2023, Schedule 22 summary report, and the Shelburne drinking water system dated February 26th for information purposes. All in favor? And it passes. Thank you very much, Don, for joining us. We now do move on to the next item. Again, it's Report FS 2024-03 from the Director of Financial Services, and it's the Treasurer regarding the 2023 Development Charge Year-End Report and Treasury Attestation. Hand it over to Carrie.
Thank you. And through the Deputy Mayor, this is our annual report that is a requirement under the Municipal Act for staff to report to council the starting balance of our development charges and what was collected, including interest, and what was expended. So you'll see from the chart, we basically started the year almost the same as what we ended it with. Pretty much what came in went out. And the major transfer that we incurred this year was the balance on the new water tower. Council will remember that we covered that capital expense through transfers from reserves, as well as the $5 million loan, and then the balance was paid for through development charges. Something else that staff did just before year end was transfer some additional costs that we had incurred for well 3, but at the time, because in 2020 and in 2021, they were actually only engineering costs. They weren't actual capital tangible items. We weren't able to pull from DCs. So we are clawing that back now. And as we know that with the inflation and the cost of the well 3 upgrades, as well as the water tower and SCADA costs, all increased. So we were able to claw back a little bit more from development charges for an amount that staff was comfortable in taking, because we do have to leave those DCs in that reserve to pay for the well 7 and the water tower debt for the next 14 years. So we've taken enough that we think we can comfortably leave that reserve. It will still continue to grow, of course, as new development occurs. And if the sewage treatment plant is upgraded, then of course we will see further collections made through development charges. But at this point, that's all that we were comfortable in clawing back, just to keep that reserve stable for our debt payments. So we just needed a motion from council to receive the report and to approve the additional transfers. And if there's any questions on the chart, I'm happy to answer.
So does anybody have any questions? Again, seeing no questions, can I get a mover and a seconder? So moved by Walter, seconded by Kyle. So again, it is be it resolved that council receives report FS 2024-03 and that council receives the 2023 development chart schedule as presented and circulated, and that council approves the additional 2023 transfers from DC reserves in the amount of $230,985.85 to assist with funding prior year projects as identified, and that the funds be placed in the water reserve. All in favor? That passes.
Thank you.
That then takes us on to item number 3, which is a report LS 2024-01 from the Director of Legislative Services regarding DocuPet amendments required for dog licensing fees.
Thank you. And through the Deputy Mayor, as staff continue to work with DocuPet to transition the program, it has been determined that there is a need to develop a personalized solution for Shelburne that correctly identifies the first, second, third, and fourth dogs at any point in time registered to a particular home and owner. DocuPet has indicated they are unable to accommodate the current 4-tiered fee schedule as shown in the report. The challenge they are facing is the ability to write and create software to accommodate that complex fee structure. They do not have a similar setup for any of their other 190 plus communities they serve. They also advise that this type of fee structure disincentivizes residents to license more than one pet. They are more likely to create duplicate accounts to skirt the increased fees. We have conducted an analysis of the fees associated at the current 4-tiered rates. The average license transaction for Shelburne in 2023 produced $26.72 per tag in license revenue. Approximately 488 transactions, or 54%, were the $21 first altered dog type, and 323 transactions, or 36%, were the $31 first unaltered dog type. 10% of the tags issued last year in Shelburne were for the second or more dog type. The average license price across the DocuPet platform in Canada is $27.27. So DocuPet is suggesting a simplified approach to licensing by offering a fee for altered and unaltered pets. That recommendation is $25 for altered pets and $35 for unaltered pets. That would represent a $4 increase for each category from the current $21 and $31 respectively. Revenue to potentially be generated from those change in fees is $26,071 projected for 2024. We did contact surrounding municipalities to provide a comparison of fee structures, which is noted in the report. And so efficiencies gained through partnering with DocuPet and an increase in public awareness, enhanced direct communications and canvassing within the new subdivisions can boost license compliance by 5 to 10%, or 45 to 90 additional tags annually. Staff are recommending the proposed changes of $25 for altered pets and $35 for unaltered pets. There will be no charge for service dogs that currently exists. These suggested changes will require us to amend our animal control and user fee charges bylaw. Attached as Appendix 1 is Bylaw 8/2024, which amends Schedule B of our animal control bylaw. And attached as Appendix 2 is Bylaw 9/2024, which amends our user fees and charges bylaw. So the financial impact to the 2024 budget is minimal. If pet license sales remain the same as in 2023, the projected $25,000 revenue in the current adopted 2024 budget is attainable. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from council.
And thank you. Questions, Walter?
So Jennifer, if I have 3 dogs, and they're not altered, I pay the same $25 for all 3.
It's $35 for unaltered, so it would be $35 per pet.
Sorry. I got it the right way around here, sorry. Altered dogs, sorry, I meant altered dogs, not unaltered. So the same fee as if I only had the one dog, right?
Correct, it would be $25 per pet.
And that's to encourage them to, what would make them encouraged to still register those dogs? That's always been my concern in the whole scheme of things, because I know from campaigning that when I've gone to doors, I've seen 3, 4, 5 dogs sitting in a house. Why would I even bother to register beyond the one dog? Why should I? What would make me want to do that?
And so through the deputy mayor, the canvassing we're prepared to do will identify any residents that do have more than one dog. So within the animal control bylaw, currently there is a fine for not licensing your dogs properly. So they would be issued that fine should it is determined that they have unlicensed pets in their home.
So we are going to canvass to make sure we have the numbers of dogs in the houses.
That's correct, yes.
And are we going to have to do that every year? Because I guess what I'm saying is this year, with new people moving in, unless we keep some form of canvassing, or when people move, we won't know whether it's one dog or 5 dogs within that particular residence.
Correct. And going back to previous Shelburne Police Services days, they also canvassed. And so we do canvass regularly every year throughout the subdivisions in town.
Okay, fair enough. And how are we going to advertise out to the people that have been paying the $21 that are now up for an additional amount?
So should the bylaws be passed tonight, those current dog tag owners, or those current registered dog tag owners will receive direct communication and documentation from DocuPet. First, what they have to do is create and prepare the software. Then they create and prepare a communication package for each registered dog tag that we currently have.
Okay. And there was something about the dog tags you mentioned earlier as well, wasn't there, that DocuPet sends out?
Sorry, there was.
I thought there was something when we brought the proposal forward from DocuPet, that there was something about the dog tags themselves that were little different than the dog tags we currently get.
So they have the ability, dog owners have the ability to select an enhanced dog tag for an additional fee. That's at their discretion. They can order just a generic $25 fee tag.
Okay.
Should they choose to purchase something that's got
say a name,
the dog's picture on it or something, they can choose any type of tag they wish. That tag is issued once. All they do is renew that fee every year.
Okay, fair enough. I thought there was something, I just couldn't remember what it was. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
Lindsay, I seen you had your hand up.
Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, I guess just a couple of questions here too, and to speak kind of a little bit on Walter's sort of note as well, with regards to, you know, compliance and whatnot. You know, obviously, Jennifer, you spoke in the past about, you know, how with the canvassing and things like that, it's not going to be 100%. So obviously we understand that. I guess I don't know if it would be so much of a question or a suggestion, but I think I've sort of said this in the past in the last term, where this money that is collected, you know, for these tags are sort of just put into sort of a generalized fund, where if maybe we could somehow separate some of it or all of it and use it with regards to specifically dog related, you know, items, you know, again, like the dog park, maintaining it, upgrading it a little bit, adding some extra features, you know, those sort of things. It could entice more compliance, you know, with people saying, okay, well, at least I know that I'm spending, you know, $75 for having 3 dogs, but I know that money is going to kind of go back into the town with regards to dog related, you know, activities or, you know, facilities. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it's just something that I know as a dog owner myself, I would sort of appreciate, I guess. And then secondary to that would be, I know some cities offer lifetime licensing. Have we ever thought about that as well? I know we're smaller, so we're not like Brampton where there's, you know, 250,000 people. But just wondering if that's ever on our thought. You know, lifetime licensing usually includes the dog has to be neutered or spayed and they have to have a microchip. So just, you know, wondering if that was ever on our radar as well.
Thank you. Through the deputy mayor, we have not considered lifetime licensing, but we can definitely ask DocuPet what that looks like and how it would work.
Awesome.
As for the dog tag revenue, that's a Carrie question. I'm not sure what happens with the revenue once we collect it.
Oh, I've got Denise next.
Sorry, I meant to turn on my thing. Thanks, Deputy Mayor. So I just wanted to note and appreciate the input with respect to dedicating where those revenues from dog tags potentially may go. I just wanted to reference that one of the primary reasons there's a fee is the support that we have to provide in the event that that dog becomes loose. And finding that dog is critical to returning it to its family members by identifying it through the tag information. So those revenues are helping offset the staff resources and all the processes that are associated with that part of this service. And additionally, the fees are also, and unfortunately, helping support those people whose dogs are not tagged in the event that they need to be taken to the Humane Society in order to be supported so that they can be reconnected with their owner. So just to let you know that there is a significant cost still, for example, for us to help support dogs. And it is unfortunately fairly frequent where dogs have become loose from their home, and that dog tag has been the primary and exclusive reason that we are able to reunite them with their family. So there's not like 100% of the money. So those offsetting revenues, if they're removed, would affect the bylaw budget, just so you know, if we were then transferring those to part capital costs or anything else. So I just wanted to provide that background.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that totally makes sense. I wasn't sure, as you stated too, how often it actually happens. And I mean, now would that also include then the impound fee? Because this is a separate fee, right? Like the sort of the registering fee or whatnot for the tag is separate from, you know, when a dog becomes loose and is taken in, that's an impound fee. So that is on a sort of an individualized fee where it's over $100. So, you know, I thought that maybe that would sort of supplement that, that kind of cost, but, I guess it depends again, like you said, how many times this is actually happening.
So I know Jennifer had her hand up, so I'm going to let her address that.
Sorry, through the deputy mayor, I just wanted to note that DocuPet has their own lost pet service, and they have a community where they can reach out to each other should there be a lost pet. And the impound fee noted in the schedule is retained by Shelburne and charged to the pet owner. Any charges from the SPCA, stemming from the SPCA, are charged back to the owner as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yep. Thanks so much, guys.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, thanks, Jennifer, that we still have, though, our staff time associated with the on the ground engagement. So
Correct,
bylaw
yes.
still has a role. There's still costs associated with that process that are supported by the revenues that we actually generate, even though there's impound fees and that. If in the event that we have to take the dog to Orangeville, that's our staff undertaking those tasks.
Correct.
Okay, Kyle.
When we're sending the notifications out from DocuPet, is that going to be branded from DocuPet, or is that going to be from town in a town envelope?
It will be branded from DocuPet.
Okay. I think that we need to put some kind of notification out through either our tax bills or anything else like that, just making sure that the people are aware to look for this, because if it's coming through as a DocuPet document, people may assume this is a solicitation.
Through the deputy mayor, when the report was passed, the original report was passed by council in November. We did start at that time with social media postings on our Instagram, Facebook pages, and we did do a mass mailing within a water billing. And we continue to provide notification within our Free Press Town page as well and on our website. Those that have been calling in wondering where their dog tags are, we've been letting them know the service is changing and to stay tuned for more information, that they will receive information directly from DocuPet. The town logo will also be on the information inside the envelope, not necessarily on the outside of the envelope.
Okay, thank you for that. Like I said, it's just one of those trying to head off a confusion as it's like I could see it.
Hey, Len, I see your hand up as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Quick question for Jennifer. Jennifer, how often does DocuPet generate a report for the town?
We have a backdoor access to that information. We have the ability to log in and look at it at any time. Okay, so somebody, because the dates are going to be all staggered and yes. Okay, so we can actually go in and say, hey, this address has 2 dogs and no tags, or this address has 2 tags and 1 dog. Right. Okay, good. Okay, thanks.
Walter?
One last question. My dog is microchipped. Does DocuPet take that information in as well? That I noticed that you said dog tags were the major, but with a microchip in the dog. Would they have that on file as well?
You're more than welcome to submit that information when you apply for your dog tag. They will keep that on file, but unfortunately there is no further discounts to have your pet microchipped.
Okay.
Okay, seeing that we have no further questions, can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation in front of us? So moved by Dan, seconded by Len. So again, I'll read it out. Be it resolved that council receives report LS 2024-01 for information, and that the leave be given for the reading and acting of bylaw 08-2024, being a bylaw to amend animal control number 15-2018, and that leave be given for the reading and enacting of bylaw 09-2024, being a bylaw to amend user fees and charges bylaw number 70-2023. All in favor? That passes.
Thank you.
That then takes us to report number 4. And again, this is report LS 2024-02 from the Director of Legislative Services regarding a bylaw enforcement update.
Thank you. Through the Deputy Mayor, bylaw enforcement is a service area of the Legislative Services Department that works with the public to educate and enforce community standards as outlined in various municipal bylaws. This service area is staffed with 3 officers, 1 full-time officer that works 35 hours a week, 7-hour shifts, 2 part-time officers that work a combined 40-hour work week, which allows for staggered shifts to provide enhanced evening and weekend services to better meet resident and council expectations. And a correction within my report that the current staffing level does not provide a 24/7 level of service. As included in our website, for after-hours non-emergency issues or concerns, residents can contact the Dufferin detachment of the OPP non-emergency line at the number noted in my report. Bylaw enforcement staff have responded to over 400 plus calls for service in 2023. This does not include parking enforcement activities. As the town of Shelburne continues to grow, calls for service have significantly increased. The most common call for service relate to clean yards, parking enforcement, noise, and animal control. Provided in the graph for you on page 2 is the statistics of the occurrences that have taken place, the non-compliance notices issued, and the number of charges that have been laid. Regular parking enforcement remains proactive. Enhanced parking enforcement campaigns will begin once winter parking has ended April 15th. And will focus on specific projects for the spring, summer, and fall seasons. For example, but not limited to, accessible parking spots within the downtown core, as well as heavy truck traffic parking. In 2023, 2,189 parking tickets were issued. Of those, 391 were general parking violations, 1,798 were winter parking. Parking fines were increased as approved by council from $10 to $40. The increase was approved by the Ministry of Attorney General in June 2023. The increased fine of $40 has proven to be a deterrent as the number of parking violations has decreased. On April 24th, 2023, council approved the trespass to property policy through report CAO 2023-12, which provides municipal law enforcement officers with additional enforcement tools. To date, several notices have been issued. The first offense provides for a 30-day prohibition. Should the prohibited conduct persist, the notice progresses to 6 months. From there to 1 year, the maximum prohibition is 2 years. Staff continue to further investigate an administrative monetary penalty system. Currently, our bylaw offenses are prosecuted through the POA system, the Provincial Offences Act. The implementation of AMPS will provide cost-effective, streamlined, and customer-centric processes for disputing and resolving issued tickets. There will be costs associated with the implementation of the AMPS system as we move forward that will include software and equipment purchases for the consideration of council during 2025 budget discussions and deliberations. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Do we have any questions? Walter?
How long is it currently taking us to get stuff through POA? Because I know they've been backlogged for, it seems, ever.
Through the deputy mayor, we have just received those that have challenged parking tickets from 2022. Those notices have just been issued through POA right now.
So we're almost 2 years behind, basically. And we can't go to AMPS any sooner than the next budgetary term?
The anticipation is hopefully to be there by the end of this year, 2024. It's definitely a long process. Bylaws have to be changed, software has to be purchased. There's definitely a lengthy implementation towards that, but the goal is to be there by the end of this year.
And that would almost allow us to start a catch-up process, other than the 2 years we've lost to POA.
So that will allow, once that is implemented, that will allow any tickets post-implementation that are issued to be managed within the town, and it will avoid the provincial offenses process.
Right, so like I said, it would allow us to do a catch-up minus the 2 years we've lost to POA.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder for the recommendation? So moved by Walter, seconded by Kyle. And again, this is just be it resolved that council receives report 2024-02 for information. All in favor? That passes.
Thank you.
That takes us on to item number 5, which is bylaw 08-2024, which is ready for council's consideration, and that's being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Shelburne Public Library for the purposes of providing library services. Walter?
I'll move it.
You'll move it. Seconder? Dan? So again, I'll read the overall recommendation. It's just be it resolved that the lead be given for the reading and acting of bylaws 08-2024 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Shelburne Public Library for the purpose of providing library services. All in favor? And that passes. That now takes us to item number 6, which is bylaw 10-2024. Again, for council's consideration, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 18-2023 to appoint municipal committee and board members for the 2022 through 2026 term of council. Any questions with regards to that file? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Kyle, seconded by Lindsay. And again, all in favor? So that passes. So be it resolved that the lead be given for the reading and enacting of bylaw 10/2024, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 18/2023 to appoint municipal committee and board members for the 2022 to 26 term of council. All in favor? That passes. Again, appreciate Mandeep Singh coming forward with the DEI, and welcome to the committee. That now takes us to section number 7, which is councillor motions. Do we have any notices of motions tonight? Okay, I see Lindsay.
Yes, thanks so much. Okay, so it's just with regards to the committees. Okay, so whereas the mandate for the Parks and Recreation Task Force is to identify and prioritize parks and recreational needs within the municipality, to develop funding strategies to meet those needs, and to make recommendations to council that maximize parks and recreation opportunities in a fiscally prudent manner. And whereas council of the town of Shelburne adopted the Parks and Recreation Master Plan via resolution on September 25th, 2023. And whereas the resolution adopted by council states that council directs staff to include the recommended projects and other general recommendations with associated costs within the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the consideration of council during the annual budget process, starting with the draft 2024 operating and capital budgets, and that council directs staff to explore all infrastructure and grant funding opportunities, as well as other partnerships that could also support the capital costs of projects recommended in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Task Force has struggled during this term of council with securing committee volunteers, and in many cases has not been able to have meetings due to lack of quorum. And whereas the adoption of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the mandate of the committee has been achieved. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council dissolves the Park and Recreation Task Force effective March 11th, 2024, and that the committee members are advised of the dissolution of the Parks and Recreation Task Force and thanked for their contributions.
Okay, so being a notice of motion, that'll be put on our March 11th agenda.
Yep, thank you.
Any other notices of motions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to section 8, which is communications. I do have one that I'd like to pull, which is number 3. Anybody else have anything that they would like to do separately? Walter?
I have number 4 and number 5 from the county. I think we need to support them on that as well.
Kyle?
Number 8 for me, I think we need to support that. Seeing as we are having trouble with our water and wastewater as it is as well. So I think we need to have a letter that supports that notice of motion as well from Renfrew.
Okay, so with that being said, I see we've pulled items 3, 4, 5, and 8. Can I get a mover and a seconder to approve the remaining items as listed? Moved by Walter and seconded by Dan. So again, all in favor? Okay, that passes. So again, we'll receive all of the items listed. Now we'll go back to item number 3. So very probably similar to what Walter is going to talk with regards to item number 4 and 5. I think it's important for us to show our community or our support with regards to Dufferin County on that resolution. Walter?
I'll move it because I agree with you totally 100%. We need to support the county on all 3 of those items.
Okay, all in favor? That passes. Oh, sorry, Jennifer?
Sorry. I just wanted to confirm, are you moving number
Yes.
3 and
Yes.
Walter is seconding?
Walter
Okay,
second.
thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, that takes us to item number 4. Any further discussion? I think Walter's fairly clear that, again, showing support with the county related to that item. We have a seconder. Okay, seconded by Lindsay. All in favor? That also passes. Similar with item number 5. Anything more you want to add to it, Walter?
No, it's basically the same thing. They need to provide training again for road safety and whatnot. So I think it's important that we support the county on that.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Lindsay. All in favor? And that passes as well. Kyle, I'll have you do number 8.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I'd like to put a letter out supporting Renfrew's motion, where they're advocating to the provincial and federal levels of government to make them aware that rural and small urban water and wastewater systems are financially unsustainable. I think we need to support this as well, especially considering what we're going through with our wastewater treatment plant, and hopefully we can get some more voices to the people that we need to just get support.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Len. All in favor? That also passes. So thank you very much for that. There is no closed session tonight, so that takes us to the confirming bylaw. Can I get a mover and seconder for the confirming bylaw? I got Dan and Walter. All in favor? That passes, and then we do have a motion to adjourn. And again, to meet at the call of the mayor. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Walter, seconded by Kyle. All in favor? Okay, thank you.